Okay, everybody, today I'm going to read this Captain Underpants book to you guys. Okay, as you can see, here's in full color. Maybe I can't read the whole book. Maybe I do. Okay, so let's just not talk about it. Let's just start it. If I can't, then I can read it. Like I started. Now in full color, Captain Underpants and the invasion of the incredibly lofty cafeteria ladies from outer space and the subsequent pursuit of the equally evil zombie nurse. Hello, it's us again. Before you read this book, there's something you should know. So Harold and I have created informative pamphlet to fill you in on the details. Please don't let it come far into the wrong hand. George and Beard and Harold Tangents present a Danny Everything production, Captain Underpants YG Wars. Episode 1. The Phantom Principal. A long time ago in an elementary school far, far away, there were two cool kids named George and Harold. Me too. They had an evil principal named Mr. Crab who was strong in the way of the force. He forced them to study, blah, blah, blah. He forced them to clean, blah, blah, blah. And he forced them to behave. Ha, ha, ha. So George and Harold taunted him. You will obey our every command, slap. Okay, you are now Captain Underpants. Okay, ha ha ha. It started out as a joke, but it wasn't funny for long. Ha ha ha. Tra-la-la, hey, come back. Mr. Crab thought he really was a world greatest superhero. He got into all kinds of trouble. George and Harold had to save him and the underpants twice. Now the only way they can turn Captain Underpants back into Mr. Crab is to pound water over his head. But the worst part is that George and Harold have to keep an eye on Mr. Crab, blah, blah, blah. Because for some strange reason, whenever he hears somebody slap their finger, he turns back into you know who. Tra-la-la. So whenever you do, please don't slap your fingers around Mr. Crab. You hear the man. Please don't slap those fingers. This had been a public service announcement from George and Harold, who still Danny Everything. Treehouse Comics Inc. Chapter 1. George and Harold. This is George, Beard, and Harold Hutchins. George is a kid on the left with the tie and the flat top. Harold is the one on the right with the t-shirt and the bad haircut. Remember that now. If you were looking for a few words to describe George and Harold, you might come up with kind, funny, smart, determined, and deep. Just ask the principal, Mr. Crab. He'll tell you that George and Harold are kind, funny looking, smart. Alex, who are determined to drive anybody off the deep end. But don't listen to him. Children are actually very clever and good-hearted boys. Their only problem is that they're fourth graders. At Children's Harrow School, fourth graders are expected to sit still and pay attention for 7 hours a day. Children's Harrow are just not very good at that. The only thing Children's Harrow good at is being silly. Unfortunately, Children's Harrow silliness gets them into trouble every now and then. Sometimes it gets them into a lot of trouble, and one time it got them into so much trouble it almost caused the entire ears to be destroyed by an army of giant evil zombie nerds. But before I can tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. Chapter 2, The Evil Space Guys. One dark, clear night in Pico Chill, a flaming object was seen streaking across the quiet, midless sky. It shone brightly for a second or two, then fizzled out just above Jerome Horowitz Elementary School. Nobody gave it a second thought. The next day, everything seemed pretty normal. Nobody noticed anything different about the school. Nobody paid any attention to the roof, and of course, nobody looked up and said, "Hey, what's that big spaceship thing doing on the roof of the school?" Perhaps if they had the horrible ordeal that followed might never have happened, and you wouldn't be sitting here reading about it right now. But you didn't. It did, and well, here we are. As we can all plainly see, there was a spaceship on top of the building, and inside that spaceship were 3 of the most evil studios and the murkiest spacemen ever to set foot on the roof of a small Midwestern elementary school. Their names were Zooks, Clax, and Jennifer. Their mission to take over the earth. First, said Zorks, we must find a way to infiltrate the school. Then, said Clax, we will turn all the children into giant superpowered evil zombie nerds. Finally, said Jennifer, we will use them to take over the world. Zorks and Clax laughed and laughed. Silence, you fools, barked Jennifer. If our plan is to work, we must wait until it is narratively convenient. In the meantime, we will watch their every move on our train close-up. Chapter 3 Fun with Science. Early that some morning, George and Harold were sitting in their 10:15 a.m. science class making silly noises. Meow, George mewed softly without moving his lips. Roar, growled Harold without opening his mouth. There is a game, exclaimed their science teacher, Miss Fight. I distinctly heard a cat and a dog in here. We didn't hear anything, the children said, trying not to laugh. I must be hearing things again, Miss Fight worried. Maybe you should leave and go see a doctor, said George with concern. I can't, said Miss Fight. Today is the day of the big volcano experiment. The children all growled. Miss Fight. Science experiments were usually the most idiotic things on Earth. They almost never work and were always boring. But today's experiment was different. Mr. Fight brought in a large fake-looking volcano that he had made out of paper. Match. He filled the volcano with a box of ordinary baking soda. Baking soda is also called sodium bicarbonate, explained Mr. Fight. Meow, said Miss Fight. Did any of you children just hear Never mind. Mr. Fight opened up a bottle of clear liquid. Now watch what happened when I poured water into the baking soda, he said. Meow. The children watched as the tiny volcano started to rumble. Soon a large glob of foamy goop spurted out the top. The goop poured over the desk and dripped onto the floor, creating a huge mess. Oops, said Miss Fight. I guess I used too much baking soda. George and Harold were stunned. How did you do that? Asked Harold. Well, said Mr. Fight. The villager acted as a liberating agent which released the gaseous carbonate radical element of the sodium bicarbonate. Meow. Miss Fight paused. Excuse me, children. I've got to go and see a doctor. Miss Fight put on his coat and hurried out the door. George and Harold got up and studied the massive volcano experiment with great interest. Are you thinking? Okay, everybody, bye-bye. See you later in our next video.